Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season, we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we are reviewing Alien Earth, and today we are actually talking about the season finale. This is episode 8, titled The Real Monsters. If you haven't watched this episode yet, go check it out. This is your spoiler alert, and come back and listen to the rest of our conversation. Okay, so let's dive in. Sarah, IMDb summary.
Yeah, first I would also just like to note that last night after I watched Alien Earth, this episode had like a 7.8, I think, stars rating. Now, middle of the day on Wednesdays when we were recording this, it has a 6.7. So in the last few hours, a lot of people have watched this and had some feelings. So that's just notable. But anyway, the IMDb summary is actually a pretty good one. It says, a new power dynamic emerges. That's it.
Actually, I saw that because it was a very short one-liner. When you click the episode, you get to see that little summary. And I was already mad, okay? I was already like, this is the finale.
Yeah. We don't need things to emerge in the finale. We need things to wrap up.
Wrap up? At least give us... Yeah, well, this is going to be a whole rant this episode, I think. But yeah, and I think the money machine is doing the money machine things. Let's talk about this episode, shall we? So, episode titles for this episode 8.
Mine is Sad Debacle.
Yeah, that works on a meta level too, you know? So well done. My episode title is Hide and Seek.
Yes. I loved playing hide and go seek as a kid, so that did warm my little heart. I wouldn't want to play hide and seek in this context, though. That might not be very fun.
Yeah. So good. So good. Okay. Well, let's talk about this episode. We got some things to say. Sarah, how did Alien Earth season finale? Just remember, this was supposed to be a season finale. How did this work for you?
I'm so excited to hear what you have to say because you're already salty and we haven't even gotten into this yet. So I'm ready for this. Yeah, I was just disappointed. Like, that's the best way that I can describe kind of my feelings about this episode. It ended and I was just like, really? This is what we're doing.
Right.
I really struggle with the show because there's some good stuff here. Like, it's a well-made show. The production design is fantastic. The performances, so good. Like, so there's a lot of like skill and talent and really good things that happened in this show and in this episode. But yeah, man, the story just did not work for me. And I do this a lot in movies, especially where I fixate on something and then that can kind of ruin the entire experience for me. Yeah. And I feel like that's where I'm at with Wendy. And it's the thing that we've talked about over and over and over again is, why is Wendy so special? Why is Wendy the one with all the superpowers and nobody else has superpowers? And I think that's still where I'm at, because I think if this show had been like the X-Men, you know, and everybody has their own superpower and they're all able to work together and like, it's cheesy, but I think that would have worked better for me though. Like, everybody discovering their own superpower that came with becoming a synthetic body, and then they see how they can all partner with each other and work together to defeat boy, like I think I could be into that. But it's just,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I'm just weird and I'm hyper fixated on this detail, but the entire episode I'm just going, why is it Wendy that has all of these powers? And she's so much stronger in this episode, and there's no
Yeah.
explanation as to why. And so I either needed the powers to be distributed amongst the group, or I needed an explanation as to why Wendy has all the powers and is like infinitely more powerful in this episode than we've ever seen her. And
Hmm.
we get none of that. And so I was frustrated.
Yeah, no, your question of the entire season never gets answered. I'm so sorry. You just gotta live not knowing why Wendy is special until maybe there's going to be a season two. But if the show also doesn't seem interested at all in trying to explore that, so you're just gonna have to stew with your question that went unanswered even by the finale. When we were waiting to see, we were like really thinking maybe there could be something here that will be a reveal or some backstory of like how Boy created her, which I think could have been so interesting. He clearly has a fondness for her that's very special in some way. Why? We have no idea. I am impressed that this show has managed to answer not a single one of the questions that we had in our looking ahead section. Um, my feelings about the show really resemble an Oreo. I went from being not very happy about this at the beginning to like, okay, we're doing some interesting things in the middle section there. I had hope, and now my hope is gone, and the greedy corporate machines are alive and well, and I'm just mad about it. I think also, I will admit, I'm bringing in baggage from outside of the show into my feelings about the show because I feel like there are so many pieces of IP that are doing the same thing, which is to introduce us into this really interesting world and then just kind of leave us hanging because it knows we will want to watch more and it can string us along in that way. So these long 3 arc movie trilogies are doing this, and I miss feeling satiated. I don't want to be hungry all the time. And I feel like we're often left hungry and there's no resolution to this episode. It's not even a cathartic ending showdown experience, you know? I don't even know what happens in this episode, honestly. It feels like more of the same. And so that's really perplexing to me that the show has managed to somehow land this plane not at all. Like we are still flying in the air and nothing gets resolved. Nothing is satisfying. Every emotional through line is left as it does. It also, the thing is, this episode doesn't complicate anything significantly. Like it kind of leans into the same central conflict, the same trajectory that we were on. So we don't even get the thrill of like a left turn, you know? I would have loved to see just like Kirsch take everybody out, and that's the new power dynamic that emerges. That's still interesting because it's unexpected and it's not necessarily following the arc that we were expecting, which is that Wendy becomes very powerful and is going to take Boy down. We just do more of the same, and I'm here with my Oreo, and I am very very upset.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there's so many interesting things that they could have done in this episode, and they chose to do none of them. And that's
Yeah.
really frustrating to me. Like I was so interested when like somebody is sabotaging Boy and like turning off all the electronics and torturing Sylvia with the interview videos and all of that. Like there's some really cool like kind of spooky things that they do in
Yeah.
this episode, but it all just kind of amounts to like, oh, now we have, the Avengers of synthetics that are gathered together and they're in their formation so that all 5 can be in frame at one time and they are now ruling this island. Like, okay, that's cool. But I was wondering while watching if this really should have been 10 episodes instead of 8. And
Mm.
if they had 2 additional episodes, would there have been more time to maybe have some arcs for these characters and some resolutions for these characters? Because I feel
Mm.
like there are too many characters in addition to a really complex world that they've introduced for just 8 episodes. I think you either needed to
Yeah.
get rid of some characters or have more episodes to really have a robust story. But it almost felt to me, at least, that they like ran out of runway basically and were just like, well, this is a way that we can kind of wrap this up and hopefully get picked up for another season and do some more.
Yeah.
I think they ran out of room is my best guess, because it's so well made and there's so many like interesting things to potentially explore. And man, it just kind of ended with a dud, which is a real shame.
Hmm. I just I think that it more time I think would definitely be helpful for them. And I think they also needed to have used their middle section a little bit better. I think it's around episode three, two or like 3 or 4, where it gets to be really interesting. Where we're creating these new ideas that are part of this world. It's particularly like that whatever episode it is that Nib believes that she's pregnant. That's the one where I found, wow, there's some really interesting ideas that the show is exploring that we could really sink our teeth into and have interesting story arcs. It's that one. I think it's the same episode that Curly is deemed the favorite. That episode, I felt like I saw what the show could be, and I'm just once again so impressed with this finale's ability to like really do nothing interesting. We don't even get the thrill of seeing the aliens be cool, which that alone would have been satisfying to see. We barely see the xenomorph in this episode. It does what it typically does. There's nothing cool and interesting that the xenomorph does. And then our octo eyeball dude, we barely get to see much of at all. It just kind of escapes and finds its new home, but we don't get to see Arthur, zombie Arthur, come back and like kind of be an agent of chaos in this showdown between the synthetics and Boy. Like, have him come back in some way, you know? And so it feels so intentional how restrained the plot lines of this episode is, which I think is that corporate greed to want to string us to get us to want to buy into another season, because it knows we're waiting to see that, and it knows there's so much more story to tell in this back half. And it's like, hey, come along for more, you know? And so uh, I often like to rant about the Severance season 1 finale, which does the same, like, we're gonna leave you hungry bit. But I think, hot take is, I think that this is a worse episode than that one, because at least Severance season 1 finale gives us the characters that are making big choices. They open the space time continuum. Like there's a big cathartic moment that does happen in that episode, while still cutting it off, while it wants to give us that like crumb to hold on to for the next like year or 2 years. But there is catharsis. There is big things that happen that the characters were planning for that have led up to something. And this one, like, none of the characters successfully accomplish any of their desires, and we don't get to see cool alien stuff. That is impressive.
Well, and I mean, to your point earlier, like they're on the same trajectory that they've been on, and it's not pushed forward in an interesting way. You know, we've known cognitively that Wendy is going to rise up and rebel in some way against Boy. And
Yeah.
we see her hatch her plan and execute the plan in a span of like 30 minutes. And that's it. Where I feel like in Severance, it's a really interesting comparison, because we've known about, you know, their plan for a little while. The macro data refinement team, we've known about their plan for a little bit. We've seen, you know, the stirrings within them, these little tiny
Mm-hmm.
bits of rebellion. And so finally, when they're able to like risk it and put their plan into action, it feels so rewarding because we've seen them plot and plan, and we know what a big deal it is that they are finally, sticking it to the corporation. Like it's so well earned. Where I feel like with this, it was, she comes up with a plan, is like, hey, you guys do these things, and then by the end of the episode, the things are done. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's it? Like, this is all we're doing? And another issue that I had with this episode is there's some real friction within our synthetic merry band of Avengers. We get in the beginning that argument between Nibs and Curly, or Jane. And there's no other mention of that again. So there's some serious mistrust between the group, and it's just not referenced. And so I would have loved even a little resolution to that too, of like, hey, we don't agree, but we can work together. And like, it could have been as simple and cheap as that, and I would have been like, oh, okay, like at least we have a truce for these 30 minutes because we have a job to do. But it's just like, oh no, Wendy gave orders, and so we're doing this even though we have beef. Like, what? I just hate how like so many things were introduced and then seemingly forgot about. And I don't know. I fixate on things, so there are certain things that I will not forget, even if the show forgot about them. And so that was one of the things that was just kind of bothering me throughout the episode. I either wanted another run-in between those two, or I needed some sort of like resolution between them, because that would have been fascinating if that feud, that conflict, prevented them from doing whatever they needed to do. Like, if their interpersonal relationships created like a stumbling block for them to achieve their goal, that would be interesting. But they're able to do everything that they want and get almost no pushback. So cool.
Exactly.
Good for them.
Every emotional dynamic in this show is not touched on, or it's touched on in a really like blasé way. Like the growing suspicions and tensions between Joe and Wendy. Also, just like a quick little combo, and there's still suspicions there, but like what we just like touched on every little thing, and they have a little bit of a back and forth about it, but like no one's angry. There's no emotion in it. No one's angry. No one's really that upset. And they're like, okay, we'll talk about it later, I guess. Give us a showdown. Give us something. Give us like a falling apart. Give us Joe being really upset. Give us Joe really being suspicious of his sister and what she's become. But they have like the most calm conversation about this thing, where if you're Wendy, have Wendy be more emotional about it. You shot my friend, that you shot Nibs. How dare you do that? That everyone is not behaving like a human, because no one has like strong feelings about anything. And so all of these moments of friction that feel like they should be bigger are all more understated. Another one was Slightly and Morrow. I think Slightly like whacks him once, and then that's it. That's the confrontation. I'm like, yo, Morrow, you were threatening my mama. You know what I mean? Like that, there should be more there. Similarly for Morrow, like Morrow kind of comes to him like, oh, like, sorry, my bad. Like, wasn't actually going to hurt your mom. That's not in line with that character either. That character should just own, yeah, I had to do what I had to do. Sorry. And then let's see some conflict, but they kind of just have this little like, yeah, okay, fine, we're done. And these little baby punches, both like with words and with physical acts, and then that's it. And it's disproportionate to the actions that were actually done. That it feels strange. Why did they play up? Even if the show still does everything generally like plotline wise that this episode does, just increase the volume of all of those confrontations even a little bit, and I think that would have been more interesting to watch too. But there's just so even keel, very bland in how it's wanting to explore these dynamics.
And if you're wanting to do like repression, because that is a way to deal with
Yeah.
conflict, is you just repress and avoid. But then you need to have stuff like leaking out. You need to have somebody being passive aggressive or something. You need something there. You need to do something with these emotions that you just set up in the previous episode, especially. Like the end of the previous episode is so explosive the way that it ends. And then we get into this episode and everybody's like just chill and like,
Yeah.
well, I guess this is fine.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, man, like if you're going to write a whole show about a group of people, I guess used that people is being used loosely, but if like a group of
Yeah, because they
beings
don't want to be
that
called
are
people.
right, but like a group rising up against the corrupt corporate overlords, like
Yeah.
I don't know, man, I'm here for that. I will watch that. I'm going to root for whoever is going up against the corporate, just corrupt organizations. I'm here for that.
Yep.
And it's so underwhelming. Like, cool. You locked boy and them in a cell. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I don't know. It's so underwhelming the way that they went about it, when it could have been really exciting to watch these five. And maybe that's what it needed to be. Maybe we needed, like Severance does, we need a couple episodes of planning and plotting. So we needed the synthetics to be captured in like episode 6 or 7. And
Yeah.
then they start scheming together, pooling their resources, using their knowledge that they've gained while being in the facility, and then they strike, and then that would feel satisfying, because we also love to see people plot and come up with a plan and then execute the plan, because it's fascinating to see them, like see their intelligence and their planfulness, and then it's fascinating to see when things go wrong and how they adapt, because it's so cool to see their characters, and there's so much character development that happens when that happens, and we get none of that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a revolution on a whim over in 30 minutes,
Yep.
able to, just, I don't know, do whatever you want. Catch a game, go have
Yeah.
tea, whatever your thing is. You got time in your schedule because the revolution only took 30 minutes. Pretty cool.
There's so much in common with Severance now that I think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
This
you
is
got
really surprising.
a group of beings, I don't know, beings that have unknowingly agreed to an operation that are being oppressed and held in an environment that they are not free in. And there's some jockeying amongst them, but ultimately they triumph to break free somehow from the corporation that is corrupt. This is Severance. And there are sheep and goats. So actually, is it a sheep
Yeah.
in this one? It's
It's
goats
a
in that
sheep
one
in
for
this one. I
sure.
think it's a goat in Severance. Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah,
but
sheep and goats.
same, yes, same family.
This is
So
amazing.
same, same different. Wow.
Wow.
But it's an interesting comparison because, like you were saying, we love to root for the oppressed. We love to root for the underdog that's going up against a big bad corporation that we all love to hate. And we love to see a jailbreak plot, and we love to see them try to work together, and all of the ways that they fight. Like I think in Severance, it's valuable to see them fight with each other, and some of them betray each other. Some of them form all of these different alliances amongst themselves. Like that's interesting to us because it reveals their inclinations and their personalities. And we don't get much of that with this group of synthetics because I don't know. And then there's like Joe in the mix. There's like Brother is there. And then there's like these cyborgs that are kind of part of this crew, but I still, again, don't know why they're there, to be honest. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's very strange. This is kind of muddled. Great ingredients, muddled
Yeah.
output.
Which is why I think I've arrived at they ran out of runway. This shouldn't have been 8 episodes. They needed to have more. And
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't trim down the number of characters, cuz I mean, I don't know. I Smee is the best. He's great. We can't lose Smee. But
Yeah.
at the same time, when it comes to like overall plot, I don't know that he affects the plot that much. Same thing
Yeah.
with
Totally.
Curly, aka Jane. Like she was interesting in that one episode when she wanted to be Boy's favorite. But then other than that, she's not in the show a lot. So could
Yeah.
we have lost her too?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like if we're down 2 characters, does that free us up a little bit to explore some of these others? Do we need Joe? Like,
No, we don't need
can we
Joe.
get
Get
rid
Joe
of
out of there.
Joe? Like
Please get.
maybe, and then that removes a whole ton of this show, which frees up things to explore Wendy and Nibs and, you know, everybody else that we got going on. So I think that they had too big of a story for the number of episodes that they had. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the result.
This is like 4 shows in one show, and you ended up
Honestly.
telling a story that is no show. You know, like this is like a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah, honestly. You're
You
halfway
had 4
there.
shows in your one show, and the result is you had no interesting show. Yeah, yeah. And the thing that is also tough is that every single one of those threads is really well done and very interesting
Mhm.
in its premise, and all
Yeah.
of the human dynamics and the interpersonal relationships and how you can throw interesting alien alliances in there for every single one of those storylines is really great. You know, there could be a whole show where it's all about Joe looking to figure out how to rescue and get his sister out of there, and then realizing, yo, my sister kind of loves this, you know, like that's a whole emotional storyline with like adventures and side plots. And every time we're following Joe as he's trying to like infiltrate this facility, but he can't get in and he's getting caught. And then there you can have a whole episode where he's like caught by Boy Cavalier and tortured. And, you know, like there's so much, but we're rooting for him because we're like, go and save your poor helpless sister that is kind of loving this a little too much, because is she even your sister anymore? And like explore those things. That's a great show too. So really, we maybe needed multiple shows from all of these premises because it's a lot.
I think that's an interesting point too that I hadn't really considered, is like giving this show a different protagonist maybe that we're following. Like
Please. Yeah.
I would say that Wendy is our main protagonist in this.
Yeah.
Which is
Just so
fine. But
uninteresting.
I do wonder, like, what is Wendy's goal? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why we like to follow the protagonist, is because it's either their
Yes.
personality or their goal, and we're bought into one or both of those things. And I struggled with both of those with Wendy, I think. Like I wanted to root
Yeah.
for her, and Sydney Chandler does a fantastic job in this. Like
Yeah.
it's not a knock on her. She gives a great performance. But I don't know. I don't feel like we ever like really connected with her, and then we didn't know what her goal was until this episode, when it's like,
Mm.
oh, now we're going to do this thing. But what was her goal for the entire show? So I
Yeah.
wonder if it had been rewritten to have Joe as the protagonist, even somebody like Morrow as the protagonist, you know, and like he shipwrecks and then has to go on his mission. He's playing double agent, you know, like there's some cool stuff that you could do there. Even having Boy as the main protagonist could have been cool.
Yeah.
Like
Would have been
I
so
feel like there
cool.
was some other cool options to have a protagonist that we're following that is making decisions and has a clear goal in sight.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to do Wendy, then it needs to be more of that exploration of like
Mm.
who am I now and what do I want? And we don't get a lot of that from her. So even
Yeah.
honestly, having it from Nibs's perspective could have been cool because
Yeah.
she's doing all of that emotional wrestling. The I'm pregnant episode is bonkers. Like even seeing her after the reset, like she could have been an interesting protagonist just because she's questioning so much and we could get behind that. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't just want to be like hating on Wendy all the time, but I don't know that she was the best protagonist for us to follow. I think I really struggled to feel invested in her.
Me too. We kept saying every other character is more interesting than Wendy is. I think it could have been neat if she were to be the protagonist. There needs to be more of that internal wrestling of who am I and what do I, and having her almost be afraid of these instincts that she has. Give us an Elsa Wendy, like she's discovering her powers, but then also like she's a child. So she's like, oh my gosh, why did I react that way? Like I was angry and then I smacked him and he's unconscious now. Like that's scary and terrifying. And I think it captures what maybe we as humans, as viewers, are watching and have felt those emotions. And so we can still relate to Wendy. Like I didn't feel like I could relate to her because I'm like, yo, I'm not a synthetic and I'm not power tripping on that kind of stuff. But also, to your point, we love to follow characters that have desires and like a goal for something. There's something they want to do, something they want to achieve, a dream they want to accomplish, a person they want to be, whatever it is. There's desire in a direction. And the whole point of Wendy is that she doesn't know what she wants, And maybe, so then maybe her central desire, if she were the protagonist, is her wrestling with figuring out what she wants. But I feel like in this show, and the arc that we got, most of the time Wendy's kind of like, cool, discovered this thing, but I don't know what her goal is. Joe has a really clear goal. So it would have been neat to make him the protagonist, but then we still get to have all the Wendy scenes because it's her choosing to decide, do I go with my brother or do I stay loyal to Boy Cavalier because he is my new family now? And almost Boy and Joe being these two representations of the futures and the sides of her that she wants to live. There's a synthetic side, and Boy can promise her that she's going to be really powerful and she's going to build a whole future with her, like have him in her ear. But then there's these moments where her humanity is reignited again when she sees Joe or when she watches Boy's harshness for Joe. There's so many cool things, and they have both of these axes that could be really cool. And we get to see Joe and Boy kind of jockey for wanting to keep her and wanting to convince her to go with them in their respective directions. But that would have been a really cool show. I would have loved to see that, and that wondering of who you are and who you want to be. So universal. Every human experience is that, immediately relatable.
Well, and I think there's also an opportunity to like complicate that as well with, and this is in the show that we got a little bit, but Wendy rejecting being human essentially and like
Yeah.
wanting to like side with the aliens more. And so I think that that would also be an interesting complicating factor in this scenario that you just described that I'm very into. Is it looks like it's a binary choice between Joe and Boy, and then Wendy actually chooses a third option, which is actually I'm going to go hang out with the aliens. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that could also be an interesting like surprise kind of twist of her rejecting both of them because they both suck in their own unique ways, and going and hanging out with the aliens. That sounds
She,
cool.
she goes and becomes Tarzan.
Hey, man, why
At the
not?
end, she's just like running around the
Yeah,
jungle, running around town with xenomorphs.
I'm down. That sounds like a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
go. Choose yourself, my girl. You can go
Well,
be
and
Tarzan with the
then
aliens.
that could set up a really interesting season two. We're really right in this whole story arc now,
We are.
where
We are.
like the other corporations, of Boy Cavalier now out of the picture, but you have maybe
Mm-hmm.
Utani and some other, I don't know, pick another corrupt corporation that have seen and identify the influence that Wendy has with the aliens. And because they want to wield the power of the aliens. They try all these different methods to manipulate her to go and align with them. And you can see all of the dealings, but like Wendy becomes a piece in their larger agenda because they see her as their access to the alien powers. And that could be a whole season 2 arc that can lead up to something next. But like but then we get a whole satisfying chapter ending. Wendy chooses the aliens, rejects the other two parts of her, becomes this whole new being, and now Wendy is significant. And then do the like ending denouement sequence where you see Utani on the phone with their headquarters. They're bored, and another one is saying, "We need the girl. Like we got to get the girl. How do we control the girl?" That would be cool. We've got great ideas.
We do.
This is what happens when the thing you watched isn't good. We just will live in the world of our imaginations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate that there's so many good elements to it. Yeah. And I wish that they just would have been rearranged a little bit. There maybe would have been a little bit more restraint shown earlier so that this final episode could have been really, really full and satisfying. But as soon as it was over, I was just, oh my gosh, I was feeling so disappointed. I was like, man, why did I just waste 8 hours of my life on this show?
Yeah.
It's such a bummer.
I know. There's so much potential.
Yeah.
Before we give out TV Honest Awards, any things that worked for you in this episode? I've got one.
Ooh.
To bring to the table.
Say yours, and I will skim through my notes.
Mine is very fun, very silly. The one cool Octo-Eyeball, I was gearing up for some great Octo-Eyeball moments, okay? For this finale, I'm like, this thing has been in this sheep for the whole season. It's about to come out. We're going to get to see some cool stuff. We don't, for the most part. But I loved when that thing slingshots itself at Joe. That released dopamine in my brain. I experienced joy, and it was wonderful. I loved it. It just latches on, slings itself back, boom, straight onto his face. I thought that was so cool to see what this thing can do. Yeah, I loved this alien. I love this creature, and the creativity and the whimsy of its dealings is really fun for me. So mine.
I love that you just use the word whimsy to describe this really terrifying alien.
It's so funny.
I was not thinking whimsy at all anytime that I saw that thing. That's amazing.
Listen, it's got some showmanship. It has to show off a little.
It does.
You know?
It does. And
what
it succeeded, you know?
It did, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there were a couple of things that I did like in this episode, but I'm going to narrow it down to a couple of moments where I feel like this show or this episode leaned more into like the horror or suspense kind of realms, and it's seeing those moments where something is happening in the background of a scene, and so you as the viewer can see the thing coming but the characters can't. And so a couple of those moments are when Morrow enters the lab and like Kirsch is doing whatever he's doing, and you see Morrow before Kirsch does, presumably. And so that whole thing is really suspenseful, the way that they did that. And I also love that Kirsch was ready to go, even though it looked like Morrow was sneaking up on him, which was really satisfying just in all the ways. And then I also love the way that Nibs infiltrated Dame Sylvia's area, because she just silently drops down into the room, and then she like approaches her as Dame Sylvia is staring out into the window. And so I loved those little moments where it's like, oh, something's coming, but you don't see it. I thought that those were really well done and well placed in the episode.
Yeah. And the use of cinematography to create that tension, that excitement, because we are more in the know of what's happening than the characters on screen are, and that's always so fun for us. We love to feel smart, we love to be informed more than the people that we're watching on screen, because then we get to feel the anticipation of when those things will come to fruition for everybody in the world of the show. Very good. Yeah, some great moments. Lots of potential for this show. I'm sure it'll get picked up for a second season. TBD
Yeah.
on how where our slate will look around then.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, well, TV and us awards. The first category is most human. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give it to our guy Smee, who gives Wendy a little hug after she talks about her difficult feelings about her brother. It was so sweet. It was so perfect because it was so childlike too, the way that he did it and then just like ran away. Just absolutely perfect acting.
That actor is incredible and is
phenomenal.
This
yes.
life. Yeah, so good. So good. My choice for this category is what makes us really human is our creativity. And I think the Octo Eyeball exhibited some great creativity. So I'm going to give it to the Octo Eyeball for, its imaginative capabilities, thinking outside of the box and not just going on pure instinct.
Well, and literally thinking outside of the box because he managed to escape his box. So it was great.
Very good. Very good.
Incredible.
Down to earth moment. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give it to Boy, who, after the synthetics tell him to run, the next time we see him, he's wearing a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
So nice. I appreciated that.
That's good. That's a good moment. My choice for this one is when they're in the cell. I don't even know what the synthetics are talking about, but Smee is like rocking his feet back and forth as they're dangling off the side of the ledge. And it just is like a very sweet, childlike, like physical act that I thought was really cute and very sweet. So yeah, it's like they're in like the most impossible situation, but he's just kind of dangling his feet back.
It was so perfect.
Most haunting line. What is your choice for this one?
Yes, I want to give this to, I don't remember the character's name. I literally wrote down Boy's henchman, the bald dude.
Yeah.
But he says, "We're not monsters. We realize that your sister has rights."
Yeah, that was a good one. That's a good one.
Terrifying.
Yeah. The table stakes, my dude. Table stakes.
Buddy.
My choice for this one is Wendy's final line, and now we rule. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
Someone's on a little power trip. I see. I see.
Yeah. We didn't get Rage Wendy. We just got Power Trip Wendy, I guess, or like ultra powerful for no explanation why Wendy.
Yeah.
We wanted
almost Rage Wendy at the tail end of the previous episode,
yes.
But it doesn't. She's kind of planful in this one, which is less.
Yeah. Yeah, we went from angry yelling Wendy to let's make a plan Wendy.
Yeah.
To now we rule Wendy. So cool, bro. Enjoy your ruling.
I don't think we have things that we're looking forward to in this next season inevitably. So any final thoughts? Because if we don't need to do our looking ahead section, I'm looking ahead to a season 2 that can be good. That is all.
I feel so conflicted because the production value in this is so high. And like so much talent went into this. And so I'm like, man, it's cool to look at. It's cool to see the creatures. Like, it's so cool. And yet the story leaves me so disappointed. So I don't even know that I would watch a season 2 at this point in time. Like,
exactly.
For me, season 2 is, if they have a season 2, but that would be one for me that I would wait until the whole thing is out and kind of see what the vibe is around the show. And then I might watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I'm at, which is, it's such a bummer.
Yeah.
I wanted this to be so good. This was one of the shows that I was really, really looking forward to this year. And I feel disappointed. And it is what it is. But I don't know. I don't know about
Yeah.
season 2. I'm not in it to win it. It's a maybe for me.
Agreed. I think I will answer this question of what I'm looking forward to. I'm excited to see where the franchise takes its next steps and its next chapters. There's
Yeah.
obviously a world that has been expanded. And so I'm just curious to see if or when we get a new Alien movie or something in this IP world. Will we see more of these types of characters, more of these types of aliens, because they're looking to expand the viewfinder to allow for more of these other interesting, colorful characters? So I think that will be cool. So we're not just continuing to barrel down the xenomorph world that we've seen a million times over now. So I think that could be. I'm curious to see where the franchise, where their creative direction goes next. Now that they have almost more room to play in. So that'll be cool to see.
Maybe we could get an Octo Eyeball show just for you. We
I
could
would
get
love
like a 6-episode mini series
Yeah.
just about Octo Eyeball Guy.
I would love even just a mockumentary series of
Yes.
like a Morgan Freeman or David Attenborough, and it's just like Nat Geo of the octo. And now we see the octo eyeball is feeding its young. It's just so cool. What else can it
Yeah.
do? I need to know.
Yeah.
How did it evolve? Get some scientists to study them and just to give me their reports in an interesting way with some B-roll. That would be this thing is so cool.
It is very cool. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, let's
That'd be funny.
let's see who we can talk to make that happen, because that would be great. I would watch that too. I'd be terrified, but I'd watch it.
And now it's doing its slingshot maneuver.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, this was overall a fascinating experience. The show kind of expanded and contracted, and expanded and contracted. We were hot and we were cold. So made for some fascinating podcasting episodes, I will say, in the roller coaster ride of our feelings with the show over the course of the past 8 episodes. So this is our review and discussion of episode 8, the season finale of Alien Earth. You can find it available on Hulu. Thank you for listening to today's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today as we wrapped up our journey through Alien Earth. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know your thoughts and ideas for how you would maybe rewrite the season finale. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at tvnspod, or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcast, Movies and Us. We will be back soon. We're going to have some new TV and Us episode reviews for an iconic show. Oh my gosh, we are so excited. This has been a show that has been on our dream list for years, both Sarah and I. We somehow have not seen the show yet, and it is one of the most iconic classic shows of our time. So, very excited for that. But before we do that, we're going to be back with some Are You Hooked episodes, and we're going to be covering a really fun show, The Comic Shop, which has a really amazing backstory created by some independent creators. Really amazing. Cool to see how that show even came to be. So go support, go check them out, go watch that show, come back and listen to our Hooked episodes. Lots of good stuff cooking up and to the docket for us. So we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see y'all again very soon.